The wind howled across the empty mountain trail as Daniel wiped the sweat from his forehead. His legs felt heavy, his back ached, and every breath seemed harder than the last. For hours, he had been climbing toward the summit of Eagle Peak, a mountain famous for its breathtaking view. Hundreds of hikers attempted the climb every year, but not everyone reached the top. Daniel had dreamed of standing on that summit for years. Life had not been easy for him. He worked long hours at a warehouse, struggled to pay his bills, and often felt like he was falling behind while everyone else moved ahead. The mountain represented something bigger than a hike. It was proof that he could still achieve something difficult. When he began the journey that morning, he was full of energy and excitement. But now, as the sun slowly moved across the sky, exhaustion was taking over. Finally, Daniel dropped his backpack beside the trail and sat on a large rock. "I can't do this anymore," he muttered. His legs were shaking. His water bottle was nearly empty. Every muscle in his body begged him to stop. Looking up the trail only made things worse. The summit was nowhere in sight. "It's too far," he said. "Maybe this just isn't for me." For several minutes, he sat there staring at the ground. Then, he noticed another hiker approaching from behind. The man looked much older, probably in his 70s. His hair was gray and his pace was slow but steady. When the old man reached Daniel, he smiled. "Taking a break?" he asked. Daniel nodded. "Honestly, I think I'm done," Daniel replied. "I've come a long way, but I don't think I can make it." The old man sat beside him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the old man pointed up the trail. "Do you know what separates the people who reach the top from the people who quit?" Daniel shook his head. "The people who reach the top take one more step." Daniel laughed. "That sounds too simple." "It is simple," the old man said. "But simple doesn't mean easy," the old man continued. "Most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they stop when they're tired. They stop when things get uncomfortable. They stop when success is closer than they realize." Daniel listened carefully. The old man stood up and picked up his walking stick. "You don't need to reach the summit right now," he said. "Just take one more step." Then he slowly continued up the trail. Daniel watched him disappear around a bend. "One more step," the words echoed in his mind. He looked at the mountain again. The summit still seemed impossibly far away. But maybe he didn't need to think about the summit. Maybe he only needed to think about the next step. Daniel stood up. His legs still hurt. His body was still exhausted, but he took one step forward, then another and another. Minutes turned into an hour. Whenever he wanted to quit, he repeated the old man's words. One more step. As the trail became steeper, he took one more step. When his lungs burned, he took one more step. When doubt filled his mind, he took one more step. Slowly, something began to change. The summit no longer felt impossible. Every step brought him closer. Every step reduced the distance. Every step proved that he was stronger than he believed. Then, just as the sun began to set, Daniel climbed over a final ridge. Suddenly, the summit appeared before him. He had made it. Standing at the top, Daniel stared at the endless valleys, rivers, and mountains stretching across the horizon. The view was more beautiful than he had imagined. But the greatest reward wasn't the scenery. It was the realization that success had not come from one giant leap. It came from hundreds of small steps, one after another. As he stood there, Daniel noticed the old man sitting near the summit. The old man smiled. "I knew you'd make it." Daniel smiled back. "You were right." The old man nodded. "Most goals in life are mountains," he said. "People focus so much on how far they have to go that they become discouraged. But success rarely comes from doing something extraordinary. It comes from refusing to stop." Daniel never forgot those words. Years later, whenever life became difficult, whenever obstacles seemed impossible, and whenever he felt like giving up, He remembered the lesson he learned on that mountain. Don't worry about reaching the top today. Don't worry about how far you still have to go. Just take one more step. Because sometimes success is waiting just beyond the place where most people quit. Moral: sometimes success is just one step beyond where most people quit.